Hey guys, this might be a little bit of a raunchy story, so if you're not into that, just run away as fast as you can. As fast as you can. Okay, everyone else still here? I have to tell you about yesterday on the job site. In my poop. Let's go. So I'm on the job, and I'm like, every now and then my sugar drops. And I'm on this job site, and my sugar drops, and I eat this banana. And after I eat the banana, I'm still like, wow, like I start feeling really bad. So I eat one of my sandwiches I have packed for lunch. I'm good to go. And then 2 or 3 hours later, my sugar drops again, which that like doesn't really happen when my sugar drops. It's just once, like 6 months to a year. Like one random day it'll happen to me. So it drops twice. I'm like, damn, it's not even lunch yet. And I eat my second sandwich. And then I'm like, it starts to happen a third time, like in another 2 hours later. And so I'm like, I work with my dad and brother on that job that I was telling you about. I'm like, and we're really trying not to go to any gas stations or, any party stores or anything, just only to the job, get it done and get home and have the least amount of interactions as possible. But I'm like, I gotta go get trail mix, or I could be in a situation here where I'm just like shaking. And so I'm like, I have to. So I go and get Snickers and I eat my Snickers, and then I also get trail mix, and then I get lemonade, like a bottle of lemonade. And when I get to the bottom of the lemonade, I'm like, oh, that's really hurting my stomach. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and it starts to shift, it goes from my upper stomach in this pain, and it's like moving down. And I'm like, oh no. And this building we're at, they have a bathroom. They're like, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go inside the building, which is another thing we're trying to avoid. Avoid the stale air of being trapped inside a building with all these people coming and going. So I'm like, no. And there's some woods behind there. And my dad's like, just go way back into the woods and go back there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not shitting in the woods. And he's like, just do it. And I was like, no, I will go inside in the stale air. I will face coronavirus before I shit in the woods. But in my head, I'm like, I might have to shit in the woods. So I'm going through and I'm like, I guess none of this has happened yet because they are up on a boom lift way out of reach. And I'm like sitting there starting to dance. I'm looking at the two work trucks we have there. And I'm like, this is how that conversation started, is when they come down, I'm going to be like, hey, can I take one of these trucks and just beat it home? And I was like, it's getting towards the end of the day. There's actually, at this point, there's only a half hour left in the day. And I was like, let me take one of the trucks and you two finish the rest, just the last half hour. And so they come down and I'm like, hey, I gotta poop. And my first words out of my brother's mouth is like, I do too. He's like, I was thinking about taking the truck home. And I was like, no. Now we have a situation. So then my dad is hearing my brother say that, and he jumps like to my brother saying that, and he's like, well, why don't you take one of the trucks home and me and Brad will finish out the last half hour? Right now I'm like, I'm getting cramps. And I'm like, no, that was my plan. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to be the one who stays there for the last half hour. And that's when we get into the talk, where I'm like, I might have to go inside, but the door's locked. It's usually locked. And he's like, well, and that's when he's like, well, go shit in the woods. go get a rag, shit in the woods. I was like, no. And so I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go face coronavirus. I'm going inside. And so I march past him and I grab the door and I go, and I shake it and it doesn't budge. It's locked. And you have to call to get inside. And we don't have the guy's number. I'm sitting there. I'm like shaking the door like, no. And I was like, I don't want to have to shit in the woods. At this point, there's 20 minutes left in the day. And he's looking and I'm like mad. Like I'm starting to like mumble under my breath. Like this is unbelievable. Like I am not going to shit in the woods. There's 20 minutes left in the day. And so finally my dad, he's like, all right. He's like, you know what? It's cold. The weather's not good. He's like, let's just call it. Leave 20 minutes early and then head home. So I'm like, yup, I'm doing that. You're probably going to make us have to work the weekend, but it's worth it right now. I'm in so much pain. Like I am just holding back just a world of pain. And I'm like, okay. So then we're packing up all the tools and I'm like walking slow, like we're a 40-minute car ride away from my house. And so I get in the truck. I'm sitting there. Meanwhile, my brother hops into the other truck and he takes off. And I'm waiting for my dad to get in to fire up the truck and drive us. I'm sitting there and he's got a little screw bucket and he's walking around like picking up screws off the table. It's not on the ground. We're going to use the table tomorrow. You don't need to pick those up. And he's like picking them up. He's looking around. He's walking around. Meanwhile, I like reach over into his seat, the driver's seat, and I like start the car to like the truck to like send him a message. I'm like, let's go. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like, so he like, it was probably 2 to 3 minutes of him doing some extra cleanup. But in my world, it was like after 30 minutes of him walking around, he gets in the car and he starts to drive and he's going slow. And he's kind of like talking, he's like, oh, so blah, blah, blah about this subject and that subject. And I'm just like gripping the seat. Like, I'm just like, 40 minutes. Brett, you have to have some willpower. You got to make it 40 minutes. And meanwhile, it is just like the worst cramps. Like all I can think is this is what it's like to be pregnant. This is what it's like when you go into labor and you're on your way to the hospital when you're pregnant. And I'm just like, I gotta make it home. And he's like, yeah, how about the weather? Blah, blah, blah. And we go through this whole car ride. And we are like coming down the road home. And he's like doing the speed limit. And I'm just in my head, I'm like, stop doing the fucking speed limit. I'm like, wait, hey, to go. Speed, speed, speed. So after a light year of going a mile down this dirt road and getting to the house, I finally get out of the car. And he knew enough. He was going to back into his parking spot. And he's like, hey, just open the door and go. Before I even back the truck up. Normally makes you wait for him to back the truck up and get it perfect. So I'm just like, boom, out the door, heading into the house. Boots are staying on. I go right tromping through the house with my boots on. I get in the bathroom. I sit down. And mind you, at this point, my kidneys hurt. Okay? Not only am I like pregnant pain, but now I'm like kidney pain. And I'm like, this is not healthy. So I get in there and I sit down. And the first thing I realize, I don't think I can poop. I've held it so long that at this point, I don't think I can poop. I'm sitting there, I'm like, this could be a medical emergency. I'm in so much pain and I can no longer poop because I held it too long. And I'm like, please. Finally, I just, it came, the moment passed, and I was like, I went out, ate the dinner my mom made for us. And then it hit me again. And I was like, I gotta go now. I went back into the bathroom and I was like, oh my gosh. So I, did my business, did round two, wasn't pretty. And then I got in my car to head home. And my house is another 20 minutes after I get to my parents'. So I'm heading to my house and it hits me again. And by the time I get to my house, at this point, I'm like, I don't know if I ate something or if this is just the result of if you hold it that long, it just messes with your whole system. I think I ate something. It was just my stomach was hurting me. And so by the time I get to my house again after 20 minutes, I'm already like, boots are staying on again. I get in there and I finish that. And I finally get to my medicine cabinet and just down some Pepto-Bismol. And this morning, I wasn't feeling very good. And I downed some Pepto-Bismol then too. But then I called and I was like, it's rainy, it's wet, and I'm feeling a little queasy. And they're like, then you better stay home. And that, my friends, is what happened to me yesterday and today.